Very few people have seen me crying. अगर किसी ने मुझे रोते देख लिया है तो वो इसलिए है शायद कि I am very close to the person.
So we carry patterns from our ancestors. We
Of
carry
course we do.
Absolutely, I'm sure we do.
ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਕੋਠੇ ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ.
Was it like an emotional blackmail kind of crying versus a in pain crying?
I think I was in pain and someone said he's alive and that was it. ये ना लोग बहुत तकलीफ वाली चीज़ है.
पंजाबियों की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है. Wow.
This is how much we pretend.
Pain. The beauty of pain is that it's so unique to us. We think we know it, but it really shows up in so many different ways. Welcome to Healing with Hitesh. We talk about journeys of transformation and of pain, and today we have with us Anu Mehta. Hey Anu.
Hi.
Good morning and welcome.
Thank you for inviting.
How are you today?
Very good.
How does it feel to be here? Are you nervous? Are you excited?
I think I'm very excited, yeah.
Good. And I'm a little nervous. I'm talking to Anu Mehta. I've always been in awe of you from the day I spoke to you.
Okay.
And I was sharing with you earlier today that I think sometimes men fear confident women. We see that confidence early in our life with our mother, but I don't think we see it in life with our spouses, with our partners. And our conditioning is such in this society that men tend to get a little scared of women who are confident, who are so bold, because men are used to playing that role.
Yeah, you catch me unawares here because I'm not even aware that I come across like that.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a compliment.
I do take it as a compliment. I don't know whether to take it as a compliment or not, but...
You should.
Okay. I know I'm a strong person. I know I give that vibe. But I didn't know that kind of catches attention. Let's put it that way.
Well, it does actually, and it's a compliment. It's a nice a thing to have, and I think it's our experiences who make us what we are, and it gives a sense of comforting at a very subtle level to people. The first response is a little alarming, but I think it gives a sense of comforting that we know we're with someone who can make us safe and secure. And most men, I think, are so not used to being vulnerable because the persona, the facade that we carry of these beliefs.
Of being strong?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think Bollywood and Hollywood have shown it enough times that when men see their wives in labor, they really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They don't.
They don't know what to do. And then and I think the reason why menstrual cycles got tabooed was because men didn't know what to do. It's not because women needed to be sidelined, just men did not know how to deal with something.
I don't think it's just about men and women. When you talk about menstrual cycle, I think it's about anything that you can see different, that's uncomfortable. You want to hide it. And that's not just about men, that's about women. I think I never wanted to hide anything. The reason being, if I'm going to hide, it's going to pop up anyways. I believe you cannot bury a dead body. You cannot bury a secret. You cannot bury something that you're feeling inside. It is going to show up at some point or the other. And I think drastic changes are required in this kind of a place where we're talking about, acha, okay, menstrual cycle, I've run away from it. Okay, but that's something a man faces and a woman faces all her life in form of a sister, mom. I mean, he's a product of menstrual cycle not being there.
Absolutely.
And with the sister who's probably sitting in cramps in another bed and wondering what that is. And probably feeling privileged that he doesn't have to go through that pain.
Yeah, that's the other side. The grass is always greener on the other side.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
yes, it is. And of course, you can always say, oh, my sister gets pampered because that's how it is. We're constantly comparing.
So, when, like, women have menstrual cycles, men have erections. And they don't know how to deal with them.
No, they don't.
Yeah, and they get worried that, oh my God, what do I do with this? And what's really happening to me? I'm sure that, I don't remember that clearly, I'm sure vaguely, I would have memories of how I dealt with that. How did you deal with when you saw your child have his first erection?
Actually, I don't know. I mean, with my son, I have a relationship which is just so fantastic. And I'm not fibbing, I'm not just layering it and telling you. I'll give you a small example. He's right now around 30 years of age. And about 4 or 5 years back, his father comes screaming in the room. Not really, but like panic. I said, "What happened?" So he took me to the bathroom, and there was a whole box full of condoms, like big box of condoms. And he says, "Ye kaam karta hai?" And I looked at him and I laughed. हाँ माँ ऐसी हो तो क्या करेंगे? I later went and asked him. I said, "What was that box about?" And lying down in the bathroom. He says, "Mom, you know what? Everybody knows that you won't say anything. So all my friends have bought one big box and that's lying with me." So you coming back to your questions of ki, what about how do you deal with? I think I was just open about sexuality with them. I was just open about saying, this is part of life. This is part of your anatomy. And this part of your anatomy is as beautiful as every other part of your anatomy.
Nice. So, do you feel that this is the way you've become or the way you are is because of your upbringing? What was Anu really like growing up? What was life like? Were you always like that?
I think I came from an extremely conservative background where women wouldn't talk. In fact, I had a very difficult childhood where I had to explain to my mom that I started my period. I got slapped.
Wow.
I got slapped that you started, and she forgot. I mean, I did confront her or talk to her later, and she kind of said, "No, I never did that." But I never forgot that. You know, a piece of a cloth that, what you call, not even a pad,
Yes.
a sanitary pad, a piece of a cloth, and you need to wash it again and again. And I was all of 9 when I started my period. So it was scary to be all 9 and then get slapped and then being told you'll never grow tall and then to be told कि अब यहाँ से ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा. It was melodramatic. She would ask me, "How many drops have you bled?"
Wow.
And I knew then, like a rebel, I said, कुछ तो ऐसा करना है कि जब बड़े हो ना तो I must create a cure for periods. मतलब ladies को ये problem ही ना हो. Because I perceived it as a problem.
Which was the conditioning, right? Which was the response you got from your surroundings.
Yeah. Reality is, it's the biggest boon that a woman can have. She is given creativity in the power. She creates every month. She has a possibility of creating. And not just creativity, as long as medically you have your period, you have your estrogen, and you are more happier in your body. Because there's so many things that don't happen to you medically, because one of them is your heart is protected, your bones are protected, because you got your period. Most of us, most of the women that I know of and educated, because I did do the survey after a few years back just to see, is it the same like when I was 9 or has it changed? It was sad to see nothing has changed.
Yeah, I don't think anything has changed.
Nothing has changed. The only thing that's changed is from a cloth today, it's a sanitary towel. Thank God. We have someone standing there and saying, a big Bollywood star stands there and says, "Ye dena zaruri hai apni biwi ko, Mahavari ke time pe." I mean, is it a secret that every month your wife
It's a sad
needs a timeout kind of thing? Do we have to create how do you say, this whole facade around ki God ko touch nahi kar sakte? And I don't want to, hurt anyone's sentiments.
Right.
But this is one thing that's going to create a universe for you. Create your aage ki pushte, create
Generations.
generations.
Create life.
Create life. And you're not treating her like a devi. You're not treating her like a creator. And then you pray to a Devi. So anyway,
Yeah.
we can go on that.
Yeah. But
Makes
today
sense.
let's talk about Anu.
Okay.
We'll talk about periods some other day.
Sure.
And we'll talk about menstrual cycles.
Sure.
But so, what was life like growing up? You said you was conservative. I know you said that.
I didn't grow in one place.
Okay.
I was more like a community child.
And what does that mean?
You have your mom and dad who bring you up. Then you have your neighbors who feed you chicken when you're not allowed chicken at all. The sardars. And then you move to your grandparents' house because your little sisters come across. And so now my nana nani become my next parents. My mama mami, who are not even parents, become my next parents. My masi becomes my kin, my friend, or my sister. So the idea of family being fixed, the idea of... I met so many personalities, Hitesh. It's only now that I realized that it was a boon in disguise. But then it was very difficult to kind of keep everyone happy.
So do you, and I presume that was a lot of the way things were back then. I've heard of stories. I don't know because I haven't seen them. But चाचा को बेटी दे दी, तुम्हारे पास बेटी नहीं, बच्चा नहीं, मेरे पास दो है. Was that very common back then?
I don't know. I didn't see that.
Okay.
I didn't see that.
So how was life when you felt there is no home? Because at the end of the day,
I
parents
had
is what-
homes. I had not one home.
But
You see, वो नाना नानी का घर था, वो मम्मी पापा का घर था. तो मेरा घर कौन सा था?
हाँ, so that's what my question is. कि घर क्या है? घर वहाँ है जहाँ हम रहते हैं, or is home where our parents are? Because at the end of the day, for a child, the size of the house is irrelevant. Snuggling in between the parents, isn't that where the child feels the most safe? To know my father is on one side, my mother is on one side. And that, to me, that is the concept of home, that where you felt safe.
That's a very interesting question. I always felt safe with my family. The question of not being safe wasn't there. But I didn't feel like one person's child. So if it was my mama is saying to do something, my nani is saying to do something, my mommy is saying to do something, and my sister is asking me to do something, my mom is asking me to do something, my dad, they wouldn't get the priority, even today.
It's more the others over them.
Yes, it's more like people who were there for me when I cried. They made more meaning in my life than people who really gave me birth. And they are very dear to me. But there was a distance. Maybe there was a subtle anger there that how could you leave me? But wherever I stayed with my nana nani, that even today, if I close my eyes, is the safest place on this planet Earth and will always be. So the kind of grooming that I got, I saw my grandfather and heard stories about him. I saw him coming home and just putting the solitaires like this on the bed. And I would look at it and say as a little child, ki ye kya hai? He would get a bag full of goodies for my nani. And my nani was like 5 feet nothing, a fat obese woman who looked like a Chinese. You have all, and my grandfather was a tall guy, dark, really dark. So poles apart from each other. But I saw them holding the family together. When it came to my mama, who was inexperienced, but I knew that if I asked him for this one ice cream in the middle of the night, he would do it. For me, that one ice cream was more important than all the education in the world.
So money was never an issue, I'm presuming, since you said there was solitaires and...
Money was an issue with my parents, not with my nana nani.
Okay.
So when I did come back to Mumbai from north of India, it was like a shock for me. Because from a school that was huge size to a school that was puny to...
We call them bathroom schools in Bombay.
To my parents crunching on everything and I not understanding it, why they're doing it. To a place where I had car and a driver, to a place where It was there but not of that quality, not when I asked. So the difference was कि अगर मैंने वहाँ पे एक आइसक्रीम मिडल ऑफ द नाइट मांगी कि मुझे आज वेनिला आइसक्रीम चॉकलेट वाली खानी है या जो भी है, my mama mommy would be told to take me out even if it was like 2 o'clock at night और ढूंढ के लेके आओ. But if I did ask my mom, I wouldn't get it. So I learnt that I have to get it. चाहिए तो थी मुझे, अब तुम नहीं लाओगे तो मेरे को क्रिएट करनी पड़ेगी.
And does that Anu yet exist? तो चाहिए मुझे, अगर किसी ने नहीं दिया तो मैं तो ले आऊंगी किधर ना किधर से.
वो तो हमेशा रहती है मेरे पास, क्योंकि अगर किसी ने नहीं दिया तो वो तो सबसे बड़ी मोटिवेशन होती है मेरे लिए.
And is that the boon in disguise that you were talking about?
Yeah, it is. In many ways it is. Because जहाँ पे किसी ने कह दिया ये तो तुम कर नहीं सकती.
Right.
I'll give you an example of it. I used to tell myself I'm terrible at writing. मुझे एक्चुअली नहीं पता लगता कि डी और बी में क्या फ़र्क है. मुझे स्पेलिंग्स दिखते नहीं हैं और आर्टिकल मैं लिख लूँगी ऐसा तो हो नहीं सकता था. People used to edit for me if I ever wrote an article. बहुत दिक्कत, because I would look at the article and say कि ये है क्या. Today I write articles for the magazines.
Wow.
And they get taken in.
तो ये जिद थी.
मैं पैसे नहीं पे करती, उसके लिए लिए जाते हैं.
Nice. यही वो जिद थी ना कि चाहिए तो चाहिए.
हाँ, मतलब चाहिए ना, और गलत तरीके से नहीं करूँगी मैं.
Right.
मैंने किसी को गलत तरीके से करते नहीं देखा. मेहनत करूँगी, रोऊंगी अगर ज़रूरत पड़े. जब रिजेक्शन होती है तो रोना बहुत आता है, बट वो आंसू किसी के लिए होते नहीं हैं, वो मेरे लिए हैं. वो आई थिंक इट इज़ सो साइलेंट दैट वेरी फ्यू पीपल हैव सीन मी क्राइंग. अगर किसी ने मुझे रोते देख लिया है तो वो इसलिए है शायद कि आई एम वेरी क्लोज टू द पर्सन और आई एम कंफर्टेबल. नहीं तो देयर इज़ सच अ बिग शील्ड जिसको तुम स्ट्रेंथ बोलते हो. रियलिटी में ना शायद ये समझ लिया था कि लोगों के सामने रोने का मतलब है कि बेचारा बुलाते हैं आपको. Poor thing. Her mom's not here, no?
So that's where it comes from.
Poor thing. पापा के पास इतने पैसे नहीं है ना, इसको दे देते हैं चीज़ें. अगे आपके हाथ है, दिमाग दिया है खुदा ने, तो फिर आपको कोई भी चीज़ पाने में कौन रोक सकता है.
So, कुछ समय पहले आपने बोला सही या गलत तरीके से नहीं करती मैं
नहीं.
जो चाहिए. सही और गलत क्या होता है? What's the difference, right and wrong?
So I'm not talking literally from right and wrong and the moral issues.
No, I'm talking about from Anu's perspective.
From my perspective, if I am okay with my consciousness,
Right.
then I will do it.
And I think that's the best right or wrong. It's not what the world perceives. It's how you perceive right or wrong.
The world has never perceived you in the right way.
Right.
If someone doesn't like me, I'm really happy about it. It's very authentic.
You know I like you, right? And I'm not just saying that because I'm on camera.
No, I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't like me and they come out and say, I don't like you, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Not because, oh, you'll say, नहीं, but that's most authentic. डर लगता है तो उससे डर लगता है कि कोई आके आपको ये कहे कि आई लव यू. अगर मैंने भरोसा कर लिया तो मुश्किल है.
So जब नाना नानी, when you were with your नाना नानी ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स के साथ में, तभी भी आई एम श्योर इंसिडेंसेस होते हैं जब आप रोते थे, when you would cry, and when you would with your parents you would also cry, right?
I don't remember.
Okay, so you never cried. Was it like an emotional blackmail kind of crying versus a in pain crying?
I think I was in pain. It's very difficult for a 6-year-old to be suddenly separated from your parents without any notification. And I was separated at the time when my little sister came into.
And did you hate her for that?
Not really. I love her.
Back then, now I'm sure. But back then,
I think she found it very difficult to deal with me. Because I came back when she was 3. Normally a child comes into the family, you have an elder one, then a child comes into the family chota. Here the child came back after 3 years who was an adult. Yeah. I mean, in front of her.
You came back at 9.
I came back at 9.
Yeah. So what
And
was those 3 years like? Did you ever
The
have
best years of my life.
Did you ever look back at life and have a why me syndrome?
No, I was told I've run away from the house during those when I was 6. There were times when I remembered my mom so much that I packed a suitcase, put all the things that she gave me, because I probably heard from someone कि बेचारी के पास माँ बाप नहीं है या पता नहीं क्या कुछ नहीं है. So I walked out of the house. I don't have a recollection. I walked out of the house. I went to the railway station. फिर किसी को भेजा गया मुझे ढूंढने के लिए. ढूंढ ढांड के लेके आए. I have no recollection of it, but I've been candidly told that मुझे परवाह नहीं थी. मुझे अगर मेरे माँ बाप चाहिए तो चाहिए थे. And she had bought me a green colored shorts and एक stripes वाली टी-शर्ट थी जिस दिन ज़्यादा याद आती थी क्योंकि उन्होंने वो ख़रीद के दिया था. I would wear that. और सिर पे तेल लगा के 2 कुत्ते करके I would sit down and say मुझे मेरी मम्मी के पास वापस भेज दो. I don't think people realize it. मुझे बहुत प्यार मिला उनसे. But you know, आपकी मदर आपकी ही होती है.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There were 2 Anus, right? The way I see it.
Yeah.
There was one Anu who got the ice cream at 2 in the morning, who got all the love and everything, right? And then there was an Anu who really just all that she craved was her mother and her father.
All I wanted them to see me.
To acknowledge that I exist.
Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful, right? How life, what the child really craves, because no one would understand today that all that a 6-year-old child craves is
मुझे
acknowledgement.
पैसे नहीं चाहिए थे उनके. I didn't give a damn whether my father was successful or not. I wanted that time back with my mom. I couldn't understand कि मेरी sister आने के बाद मुझे क्यों, why she prioritized.
And did you ever question your parents about that?
I did. I think I came back and 3 years after I came back, I think I had a massive revolt in the house. Again, I have blocked it out. But I remember being a super rebel.
I'm sure.
It happened after my father left me in the school. I had no idea what school meant in Mumbai. He dropped me, didn't come to leave me inside because he believed that independent banana है. So I walked inside and कुछ ये क्या बोलते हैं unit test चल रहे थे. They shooed me out of the school. I'd never been to that school ever before. I walked out and I saw Sardarji. That was familiar to me. I went and sat in the taxi and said, मुझे घर पहुंचा दो. And he asked me for address and I didn't have it. कुछ लंबा सा चक्कर लगा के I managed to reach myself home. And he told my mother, ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਇਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਿਸੇ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ ਭੇਜਿਆ ਕਰੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਨਾ ਕੋਠੇ ਚੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਲੈ ਜਾਓਗੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕੁੜੀ ਨੂੰ. I'm speaking in Punjabi because that's exactly what he said, that you know you need to be careful. How can you be so careless? Strangers are telling my mom you need to be careful. But we all have our excuses.
Of course.
So, all I needed them to kind of acknowledge my presence. उससे ज़्यादा कुछ भी नहीं था.
And did you ever wonder why you found parents like this? And I'm sure much later in life, once you've embraced alternate healing, did you ever wonder that maybe there was destiny, it was karma, it was some soul learning? Why did you attract parents like these in your space?
मुझे ऐसा लगता है अगर मुझे मेरे डैड जैसा डैड नहीं मिलता तो शायद मैं बोल्ड नहीं बनती.
Right.
उस दिन जब मैं यूनिट टेस्ट के लिए अंदर गई थी, दुनिया मेरे साथ नहीं खड़ी थी. दुनिया मुझे शूक कर रही थी. But I managed to reach myself back home.
और अगर आज दुनिया शू करेगी तो
I'll still manage to reach back home.
Yes. So that strength came from those experiences.
या मतलब आप देखो ना कि कुछ तो खड़ा होगा ना मेरे साथ. Something must have been there. Otherwise, how can it be that the universe navigates you? क्योंकि I just truly believe it was a navigation from one place to another.
And then as you grew up, so what I'm seeing is 6, then 9, then 12. I'm seeing interesting numbers, right? 6 में छोड़ दिया, 9 में वापस आए, फिर 12 में rebellion हुआ. So I'm seeing a number pattern. It's interesting. So do you see patterns in your life all the time? So do the same instances repeat? Do the same traumas repeat? Do the same
Yes,
pain
they
repeat?
do. So I'm going to take you here a little bit back to my father's mother.
Right,
In my father's mother, we're talking about British time.
right,
My nana had a whole, not nana, I would say my father's mother's father, now my dadi's father,
right,
had a whole lane in Faridkot where Britishers would come in. And they had a whole Haveli kind of thing where it was known that Britishers would be entertained. Do you know half the Europeans that I meet are Britishers today? Half my mentors are Britishers today.
wow.
She went through an abortion, which turned out to take her death, reason of her death. And my father was just 2 years of age. So I never saw her. She was, her room was shut down after that because abortion was considered a punishable offense at that time. Today, what I talk and what I do, to do an abortion in that time and to say, I don't want another child, wasn't just how it is today. That you can go railway station के वहाँ पे लिखा हुआ जाके abortion कराया. ऐसा नहीं था.
I'm sure must be difficult and
No, it
hidden
wasn't difficult. It was a taboo. They would put you behind bars. They had to call midwives and it had to be hush hush. I believe that I got a lot of strength to talk about periods and a lot of other things from there. Because she was bold enough to say, this is my body. I don't want another child.
So we carry patterns from our ancestors.
Of course we do.
I'm sure we do.
Of course we do.
Do you feel that you grew up without a mother, even though you had a mother? Because she was absent from a particular
I feel
age?
I grew with many mothers who didn't see a child in me.
I'm talking about your biological mother. Did you grow up? Do you feel that you grew up without a mother?
Yes,
And do you yet feel that?
sometimes.
And did you notice that your father also had no mother?
Yes.
And how does that played out in your life? Have you understood why it played out in a certain way?
Yes.
And were you able to resolve that as you moved ahead?
You don't resolve patterns. You
Of course you
accept them. So if I was separated from my parents at 6, my daughter was separated from me at 12.
And
She's
again,
been,
3, 6, 12.
3, 6, 12. I love her to bits, but I'm sure she feels the same way. I'm absent in her life, physically absent.
So how do you resolve something like that, Anu?
That's what I said. You don't resolve it.
Right. But if it's a pattern that's carrying on, I'm sure in the world full of alternate healing modalities, there would be a cause and effect.
Hitesh, you have to look at it. You asked me, is it having any benefit? Everything that's happening in life is there for you to catch a nectar out of it. It's like, how would you look at it? How would you perceive it? Today, Divya, that's my daughter, is who she is
Right.
because of her experiences. Will I change any of my experiences? The answer is no. Today she stands in a place where I have asked her, would you have preferred the other way around? And she says, no. I mean, I am a person and I became who I am because you allowed me to be. And I say the same to my mother. She's the softest, most beautiful person on this planet Earth. Actually, if you see my mom, you'll say, really? What I missed is when she wasn't around me, is that softness.
So as long as patterns serve you,
Yes.
they're okay.
Yes.
But if they don't serve you, then
Yes.
there is something that you need to look at and resolve.
There are many ways to resolve it.
I'm sure.
But if we were to constantly look at something and fix it, resolve it, and not understand it, not understand the beauty. So like, let's say a sunflower looks like a sunflower because it's got a pattern. A day and night is a pattern. A season is a pattern.
Right.
Are you going to change it?
No, you're not. It serves its well, right?
It has a reason it's there.
Right.
Like you said, certain things may not serve you. So when you say they're not serving you, you're saying they're not comfortable with you. And the reason that you have to ask yourself, and that's where your shadow side comes in, why am I not comfortable with it? What is it doing to me? Look, I missed out on one mom, but I had so many moms.
So you got the best of many, but not the best of one.
I have the best of one right now.
Okay.
The last 5 years, we've been nurturing relationship. She is my backbone. She sits in every session of mine. She's my strength. My worry is, at this stage, I've got so attached to her that when she's not there, that will be very, very difficult for me. It wasn't so difficult to let my father go.
So what shifted?
What shifted was this whole need of her to see me. I felt seen by my father as well as my mother.
And what happened? Can you share that journey with us? What really happened? And I have a ton of questions along with that. At what age? Because I see Anu at 12 sitting with the Sardarji in the taxi. And if destiny had it changed, right? I mean, you I think we're blessed, right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't that Sardarji and it was somebody else, फिर कोटा शायद सच हो सकता था.
बिल्कुल हो सकता था.
Right? And उस ज़माने में तो होता भी था ऐसा. I think बड़े शहरों में कम होता था. But in small towns, it's very common. And, we've seen enough Bollywood movies to tell us that that's where inspiration comes from.
Yeah.
So what happened between 12 and you said 5 years back, that shift? So tell us more about that journey. What was the most difficult time of that journey?
So I think my father gave me the biggest tool on this planet Earth, which is knowledge. He didn't say that you have to become wise. He left it on me as to how I would create that. But he said, "Bete, padhai karo." 15 minutes before he passed away, he said to me, "I love you, beta. You are my star.
Nice.
और काम दिल लगा के करना." I was working on that day. He had no cribs that I was not sitting with him. He didn't guilt me. He was just happy कि मैं काम करके आई थी. मेरे घर में लड़कियां बाहर जाके काम नहीं करती हैं.
So you became the star.
I don't know. I was his star.
So you mentioned that he'd been on bed, sitting in a couch for 10 years. And how did you react when you got to know what happened to him?
I was there when things happened to him. I came back from Czech Republic. And within 15 days, he was lying down in the pool of blood. I was called from my residence, which was getting done. वापस आ जाओ, नानू की death हो गई है मामा. I reached home. My mom was rolling on the ground. My maids were screaming, and they were picking him up from the pool of blood. I looked at him and said, and someone said he's alive. And that was it. Someone said he's alive. My mom wouldn't want him to get out into the ambulance because she felt लोगों को पता लग जाएगा. ये ना लोग बहुत तकलीफ वाली चीज़ है.
पंजाबियों की थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, right?
पता नहीं क्या प्रॉब्लम है. But I know that
लोग क्या कहेंगे?
लोग क्या कहेंगे. यहाँ तक कि उन्होंने उनका कुर्ता चेंज कराया.
Oh my God! In the bleeding that he was.
In the bleeding, she went and wore a diamond की ring. I clearly remember this. एम्बुलेंस में नहीं बिठाने दिया. एम्बुलेंस मैंने जाके मंगाई, नहीं बिठाने दिया. He went in the car and she made him walk.
Wow.
This is how much we pretend. I'm not saying that what she did was right or wrong. I'm just saying it was very different from how I would have done it.
Of course. But I'm sure you were hell angry at that point of time, right?
I was extremely angry.
Yeah.
I could have shaken her up. Yeah. But I was shaking myself up.
I'm sure.
And this was the time of swine flu. He was admitted and there was a man right next to him in the cubicle who had died. They had not even removed his body. These are our hospitals. So the journey that coming back from Czech Republic, which was minus 35 to plus 35 in India, I thought I was coming back to the warmth.
But you came back to the colder part of the country.
I came back to if I ever complained against my mom to anyone. They looked at me and said, तेरी मम्मी है वो. उसे मुझे पता है मेरी माँ है. I wouldn't connect with anyone. I couldn't connect, not because I didn't want to, didn't feel fitted in. What's interesting here is, Hitesh, seeing my father in that state, from a man who had every day morning picked up his bags with a broad smile on his face and said, "Bye, beta," to the time when he couldn't move. And 10 years wasn't easy. I saw him deteriorating slowly. But I also saw my mom's strength at that time. Those 10 years she held him. Like how? Like how?
So the anger that you had against your parents, had it gone away by then or was it yet there?
Sometimes it pops up.
So when you looked at your father in the couch, did you ever wonder, अच्छा हुआ यार, मेरे साथ इतना बुरा किया?
My father never did anything to me. It was destiny. And
But there was a child who was angry, right? That pain.
I wasn't angry with him. That was so funny. I was angry with my mom.
The anger lied over there.
Yeah, and then when he crossed over, I
You
realized...
saw her in pain.
No, she never showed her pain. A lady who wore a ring and walked out, who's dressed him, has always dressed the right expression on her face, always dressed right. She doesn't show it.
And how much of yourself do you see in, how much of a mother do you see in yourself?
All of it.
Yeah. And would you do that with the rings and the jewelry? Is it that important?
I couldn't wear diamonds the way she does. I have everything. It wasn't something, just changed. I love dressing up. I love jewelry, but I feel it's very easy to fool people.
The persona, the facade.
मतलब मज़ा तो तब आए ना कि तुम मुझे जज करो और कहो कि तेरे पास कुछ नहीं, अंडर एस्टिमेट करो कि कुछ नहीं है तेरे पास, और मैं आपके साथ हाथ में हाँ मिलाती जाऊँ, मेरे पास कुछ नहीं है, और पता लगे सारा खजाना तो सिर्फ मेरे पास ही था.
Nice. So when you were growing up, and were you yet shuffling back and forth, or you moved to Bombay permanently?
I think shuffling was part of my life. I felt like a brown girl in the white world and felt like a white girl in the brown world. And कुछ काम भी ऐसे ही थे.
So again, no home, because right from childhood, no home.
No home. The song that used to come to me was, Shah Rukh Khan's that song, Challa ki labda fire, Yara da kar keda, Lokan nu labda fire. Yara nu labda fire. I think I was searching for a lot of love in a peculiar way.
And again, no mother. Because
No.
from multiple mothers to Mumbai mother, Mumbai chi aayi, Delhi ki maa, I don't know what they call mother in Calcutta, and then having the European mother, because even eventually the land is our mother, right? So at what age did Anu become an adult?
6.
The second the separation happened.
It's because at 6 I was sexually molested. Repeatedly. Which stopped at 12. And that didn't happen at my Nani's house. It happened when I would come back to Mumbai to visit my parents. We would go to an uncle's house who was old enough to be my grandfather. And it was very subtle. So he felt. I thought it was extremely loud. There were adults all over the place, and I was just a kid in his lap. People didn't see it. Like I said, मेरी एक ही थी ख्वाहिश कि देख तो लो कि it's not that I couldn't cope up with it or cope up. वो तो बाद की बात है ना. आपको दिख नहीं रहा? किसी को नहीं दिखा? सब अंधे थे क्या?
So is the Anu yet looking to be seen?
Not really.
Okay, so that did eventually come either accepted or resolved.
Today I have the best people in my life who see me, who molded me.
What was happening with the Anu? What was your mother? Were you angry with your mother? Were you angry with your father? When you did not get acknowledged with the sexual abuse, with the separation?
14-year-old buried it. She put up so much of makeup on it that she didn't remember.
And I think that's what we all do in life, right? 14, 16, 18,
I forgot.
20.
I knew something was terribly wrong.
Yeah, but you don't know what it is because that's the conditioning. You eventually have found your parents. You've moved back with them.
Yeah.
You've growing up. Everything you wanted is there.
Yeah.
And you really don't know because the acknowledgement is, I think, the adult.
I could feel I was a very adult. I didn't need anyone to kind of carry me or do anything. I was very complete in myself, as I would call it. But there was always this कि तुमको तो दिखना नहीं है.
So from looking for acknowledgement came तुमको दिखना नहीं है. Because I think the you're seeking something, and when you don't find it, you go into hiding.
I think what I was looking for, and this is still a year back, something has shifted, and I don't know what that is. I think I do know, but till a year back, I think what I was looking for was love and understanding what love really is. Is love sex? Is love mummy ka pyar? Is love papa ka pyar? Is love what that man gave me? The man who molested me?
Right.
Was that love, out of love, that people didn't see what was happening? प्यार है क्या यार? क्या चिड़िया का नाम है? That's what I was searching for. A year back, not even a year back, 6 months back, I went through a whole program of art therapy. I'm a therapist now in it, and I was learning in Mumbai with a lady called Vanashri Ghate. It was a very interesting experience for me. I didn't need to be there, but I wanted to be there. So I learned that I had to change all the gears of my life if I had to fit into that program, which I did. There was a little rejection there too. But the best scene that I remember was that we were asked to create a song. And I said something like, प्यार के लिए कुछ भी करेगा. Love के लिए कुछ भी करेगा. Oh, जमुरे क्या करेगा? बोला जमुरे क्या करेगा? जमुरे love के लिए कुछ भी करेगा.
Right. And that sort of sunk in and stayed.
No, the lady walked in and looked at me, not Vanashri, Sonia, the drama lady. She walked up to me and looked at me straight and said, kuch bhi? That words, kuch bhi,
Right.
broke my whole identity on that day. And I stood there and saying, how vulnerable. If I thought that is love, then I will remove all my masks and I'll allow myself to be as vulnerable as a naked person can be.
Just to feel that love.
Just to feel that love. And it may not be. And these were exact words that Papa had given me, right? कि काम दिल लगा के करना. I said, नहीं, calculate करके करेगा. Not in the wrong way, but ये समझेगा कि वाकई में मिठास है, शहद है, कि ये सिर्फ एक वहम है. एक आपने और इल्यूजन क्रिएट कर लिया अपने लिए. क्योंकि जब आप इल्यूजन क्रिएट करते हो फिर दिल बहुत दर्द होता है. Because you expect people to be treating you in a certain way all your life. You don't expect them to disappear. You expect them to be there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Interesting ये था कि मेरी ज़िंदगी से कोई disappear हुआ नहीं, ये भी मैंने realize किया. But the perception was that people were not there because मैंने कभी मुड़ के देखा ही नहीं ना.
So कभी husband से प्यार नहीं मिला?
Of course.
बहुत
But that's
मिला. That's a different kind of love.
That's a different.
It doesn't replace the love that you want from your mother.
No, it doesn't.
Right, of course it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Did you ever feel that you're seeking a mother in your spouse?
Not really.
No.
Not really. I know that a lot of people feel that mother and spouse of the same kind.
Sure.
Not really. I think Vikram is more like my Nana. He gave me everything that I could have never bought.
Right.
Making me aware, giving me again the, at one point my mom came and said, तुझे उसे जाके thank you बोलना चाहिए.
विक्रम को.
तो मैं बोला किस चीज़ के लिए? तुझे पढ़ने दे रहा है. तो मैं बोला आप मुझे थैंक यू बोल दो. तो कहते क्यों? कि आपकी बेटी का पढ़ने का दिल कर रहा है. तो क्या ये टीम वर्क होती है हितेश?
Right.
Marriage, I've been married for 32 years. I have 2 beautiful kids. It's not that any marriage always stays stagnant like anything.
Of course.
पर मेरे लिए वो इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं था. मेरे लिए ये इम्पोर्टेंट था कि वो भागा नहीं अभी तक. अगर वो 32 years मुझे टॉलरेट कर गया और मैंने उसको टॉलरेट कर लिया है.
तो दोनों में कुछ तो है.
तो कुछ तो कशिश होगी, कुछ तो
Right.
केयरिंग होगी.
Right.
दूसरे तो भाग लिए.
So how did Vikram deal with? Did you ever express to him how you felt about the abuse, about the lack of the mother in your life, about that whole relationship? Did he? I mean, when you told him what happened, not only about the abuse, but I'm sure as an adult, sometimes when we find the right person, we express that मेरी माँ नहीं थी जब मैं बड़ी हो रही थी.
I never expressed it.
Okay, you didn't.
No, I expressed about the abuse, and that too, it happened by chance.
Right.
I went to Carl Dawson's workshop, in his first matrix team training workshop in Czech Republic. And I regained my memories during that time. He was working on me, and it was scary, boss. It was like a flash on flash, things falling down. And I looked at him and I said to him, I'll slap you. Don't touch me. And he thought I'm talking to the abuser. And I was talking to him.
How long had it been buried?
I was 9 when I came back to Mumbai. I was 42 when I regained my memory back. 41.
So 6, 9, 12, that entire phase of 6 years,
And then
buried for almost 36 years.
Absolutely. And then when it came back, I called up my mom to say, Mom, I remember. And she said, Mat batana Vikram ko, ghar se bahar phek dega. So that was a very trying period after marriage to be immediately because within a year I had a baby, and then this whole facade of being in the hospital. And I couldn't, from being a professor, lecturer, successful, to this down and dumb story where your new mom, you don't know what it is like to be a mom, to you're handling your body and then another child.
Did you always want to be a mom?
I always wanted to be a mom.
It's something you really wanted.
I didn't think about it, but it was not something that I was always against abortion. It was something that I would never, ever in my mind go and do and say, no, I don't want a child.
At that age, did you know about your grandmother's abortion?
I didn't.
You didn't. And did you know about, how was your relationship with your mother back then?
She was there in my life.
Yeah. So things they seemed to be okay at that point of time.
Things were never so bad outside. You see, it was internally
inside.
that I wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't ever remember going and telling her. Because like I told you, if you meet her, most of the people who meet her tell me, oh, you're lucky you have a mom like that.
But you knew how it is.
I knew how it was. She wasn't there.
Yeah.
So
did you choose to be a mother who's always going to be there?
I wanted to be, but I couldn't be.
Sure. The mother was always absent. And then you became a mother. But were you trying to fill up a void inside? Or did you feel a void inside?
Did I feel a void inside? I don't know.
Right.
I never sat down and spent time on the void. I was busy filling up something. If then collecting knowledge is part of filling that void.
Yeah, we all do different things, right? Some people eat, some people travel.
I traveled.
Yeah, and was that also to fill the void?
I just love traveling. But I traveled with a purpose. Purpose of education. So I traveled across to places that people don't even go. And I traveled alone.
And this is after being married?
After being married. Estonia.
And what were you studying there?
All these things. EFT, matrix reimprinting.
But that happened much, I'm talking about much earlier. Do you, if there was a turning point in your life where you started believing in the alternative healing, the alternative modalities?
I don't think I took these words, alternate healing.
Sure.
Even when I met...
The energy work, let's call it.
The energy work. When I met Carl Dawson, the window he opened up for me, for the child to see through and understand where I was stuck.
So is that the turning point?
That was.
Yeah. So that's where you think, what really happened?
During that session.
Was it your first session?
With him, yeah.
And were you the demo?
Oh my God.
Let's hear about it.
Yeah, I told you, he was tapping on me and
right.
I told him, don't...
I want to slap you.
I'll slap you.
Yeah. Did you?
I didn't because he stopped tapping. Yeah, but the next day when I came back, Martha said to him, she wants to slap you. And he said, no, she wants to slap the abuser.
Mm.
And he asked me. And I looked at him and said, I want to slap you.
Mm.
When you know I was sexually touched, how can you continue touching me?
Mm.
You should have asked my permission.
Right. So tell me, Anu, if you were to write a book on your journey with the journey of you being, is abundant the right word or separated? What is the word you'd like to use? When you looked at how your parents left you with your grandparents?
I would say from being seen to not seen.
And with your mother, is that how would you term the journey of that separation to now having your mother attend and being presumably one of your biggest fans?
I've always said invisible.
The invisible mother?
The invisible to someone who's become very, very supportive.
Invisible to supportive mother.
I wouldn't call mother. That somehow doesn't fit in. Today she's truly a friend.
Invisible mother to supportive friend.
Yes.
That'll be a nice book, right? I hope you write it someday.
Thank you for giving me the title.
Absolutely. Well, it's your title. You chose it. Invisible
Yeah.
mother to supportive friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to tell your children or let's say your grandchildren 3 incidences about your mother, what 3 would you narrate? I'm sure there'll be many more, but from now, what 3 would you narrate?
I would tell my grandchildren, sometimes you see softness and you mistake it for weakness. Softness is not weakness. My mother is the softest person on this planet Earth,
But not the weakest.
but the strongest link in my life.
Wow. That's beautiful. And it's a beautiful journey for the 6-year-old Anu, who really dressed up in those green shorts and the striped t-shirt, put oil in her hair, to the Anu sitting in front of me, looking all gorgeous, talking about the weak, the soft, and the strong elements of her mother.
Yeah. You don't need to become a man to be strong.
And I'm presuming Carl Dawson's That One Session has a lot to do with this journey. I'm sure there are multiple elements to it.
Absolutely.
It's never one.
Never one. The second thing that I would tell my grandchildren is, it's never too late to understand your finances. My mother understood her finances, and we all thought she couldn't even sign on a paper. Today she does her IT herself.
Wow.
She goes to the bank herself. I never went with her. All I told her, like she told me, or my father said to me, "Tu kar sakti hai. Mom, you can do it." We never looked at her age and said, "Mom, you can't do this. You can do everything." And she knows more about the resources around in the money world than I do.
Wow.
She's handled Papa's complete portfolio, including his shares and everything. So don't be scared, because sometimes it feels like, and even if you're scared, it's okay.
Of course.
I mean, you look at my mother, she's been scared all her life, underestimating herself. But the strength comes out and it shows when it has to show. ऐमें बेकार में भोंगना नहीं ना चाहिए. टाइम पे आके करो.
If you had to give gratitude to one person or one incident who has been the transformative or the catalyst or whatever you'd like to term it, from the journey from that 6-year-old to the journey of today, and specifically with your mother in mind, who would you give?
I will actually go back to my abuser and say thank you to him.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Anu.
Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
And we've loved every minute of this conversation. Thank you so much.
I want to just say one last thing.
Sure.
The first time I spoke about my abuse, there was so much of anger. And that was before I took the stage at Solihull. There was an interview that was done by Johannes Fischlinger. Today, that anger is not there. Today, truly, I could walk back to that man and say to him, I wish someone had taught you how to really love. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So today we had Anu with us in house, and we bring to you stories like this, stories of transformation, stories of success, stories of resilience. Joining Hands is a community of 24,000 plus people, and from there we choose the best of the best. We choose the stories of rigor, stories that empower us, to empower you to take this transformation, to take the steps ahead, to really embrace the beautiful powers of energy, to understand that everything that happens in our life is actually a gift for us to become and learn. We're not discounting the trauma, we don't discount your pain. We create a support system for you to be able to open up and share, and from there on, transform your life to be the best version of who you choose to be. Do visit us at joininghands.in to know more and become part of this beautiful community. Thank you.